Well, they haven't landed, contrary to what you've been hearing in the sanctuary this morning. I mean, I know a rocket went up into space and all of that. I have no idea what's going on here with the electronics, but they're having a good time and they're resisting. So that's an example of resistance we don't want. We have some new people in the sanctuary today, getting familiar with the equipment and so on. And we also had a beautiful, wondrous memorial service here yesterday. A beautiful one for one of our dear friends, Al, who's from Simi Valley. And we gave him a good Irish send-off because that's what he wanted. So here we are. Can you believe it? Moving right through June already into the peak of summer is where we're headed. And I hope you're feeling summery with it. And for the rest of the time that we spend together in the sanctuary, I have no idea what the electrical system will be doing. But I trust that your electrical system within yourself is working beautifully. And so what do? We learn to go with the flow. Isn't that what we learn to do? Okay, so resistance is prevalent today, and I didn't know we were going to have really effects, visual and sound effects to meet the theme, which Reverend Mary did very well. I nearly burst out laughing at one point because it was so funny. Because the universe is saying resistance, you want resistance, okay, I'll give you resistance. We got it. Life is good. So, commitment and resistance. I think anybody who's on the spiritual path has some sense of commitment. And we're on the spiritual path not because your ego woke up one day and thought, let's do this thing. Let's do this spiritual stuff. Not at all. Because it's from the ego very often that we get a lot of resistance to being on a spiritual path. It's an impulse within you and an impulse within me that's bleeping all the time. And it is a signal from our truth, from what we have known and what we came from. So we have a constant signal going on within us, endeavoring to wake us up again and get us back into remembrance, into a wakeful state, and into an understanding once more of what we are and how we can be. But as we come into the three-dimensional human plane, remember, in my Father's house there are bazillions of dimensions. We're on the third one, third rock from the sun and all of that. And considering that, I think we're doing pretty darn well. We really are. Now, having said that, are we confined to a three-dimensional experience while here? No, absolutely not. Every single dimension is open to you, and it's open to me, and it always has been, and it will be on any dimension anyone finds themselves in and on. And that is what this honing instinct within us is, this pulsating signal going on within us all of the time is about, saying, come on, what about the more? There's more, wake up, remember. And so, yes, just to live involves making a commitment, becoming one with the idea that my life is given to me as a gift, a very valuable gift, and I can do with this life of mine whatever I choose to do with this life of mine. And where am I right now in my sojourn on this planet, whether I'm 2 or 22 or 62 or 92 or 102, where am I right now? Because that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what went behind me, what may be before me. What matters is where am I right now in my consciousness in this moment on this plane, in the circumstances and in the situation that I'm in. When I was thinking about this, and I spent the whole night last night running around the rosemary bush, not really settling on any one thing, which is a very rare thing that happens to me when I sequester myself on a Saturday night to get myself open and receptive to what it is that Spirit might want us to hear today. And nothing was happening, and nothing was happening, and nothing was happening. I was writing notes, and I was reading, and I was pausing, and I was being quiet. Same thing, got up very early this morning, same thing. Then I put my hand out and I picked up a booklet, just a booklet. I opened it up and there it was. There it was. What it was that perhaps we all could know today. And it was a piece from Ernest Holmes' Sermon by the Sea, one of his very last talks that he gave before he took off for better climes, spiritually speaking. And it said, find me one person. One person. And I thought about that because I'm used to the Sermon on the Sea saying, find me 1,000 people. But this was, find me one person who is not interested in doing harm to anything or anyone, who is for something and against nothing. One person who is awake enough and redeemed enough so that he, she, they, all of us are not at all interested in anything at all other than being the best of who and what we are, who are so redeemed enough never to do any harm to anyone because of our own weariness of soul. He said, give me that one person, show me that one person, and I will have found an exalted human being. An exalted human being. So that if you listen to that and you just, squeeze the juice out of it, what you're getting it reduced to is, it's a very good thing to do no harm. To trust life. It's to be the best that you can be. And to understand that your evolution is going to be incremental for the most part. And so just keep moving in the direction of that unfolding evolutionary process. And be in the moment for that to happen. Be awake, be present to your life, be present to your living, be tuned into yourself, know what you're thinking, know what you're feeling, know what you're doing. We hear all the time, all thought is creative, and it is. We hear all the time, change your thinking and you'll change your life. We hear all the time that you may feel, and we all do, I'm sure, most of the time, that we cannot really change the world, but we come back to understanding that's okay. The only thing we have to change is ourselves, and to change ourselves, we change our thinking. And we release all resistance out of our thought when it comes to our good or somebody else's good. And here's what happens when I change my thinking for the good. Life changes to accommodate that. All of life changes for the better. And I don't have to make it a crusade that I'm going to change the world. I'm not. Neither are you. But all of us together, in our own individual expressions of life and living, changing ourselves when the change needs to occur, and we get that conscious impulse to, okay, maybe I need to change what I'm thinking, maybe I need to change what I'm feeling, maybe I need to change what I'm doing. Can you imagine it? When you and I do that and accomplish that, everything changes for the better, for the better. Sometimes we might think, wish I had an eraser. Wish I could erase things. Well, the truth is we have an eraser, and the power of thought is the eraser. I can erase and I can replace. And I don't have to worry about karma either. In orthodoxy, you can think of karma as the residue, the the stuff that's left over as a result of sin that you have to account for. But even in orthodoxy, we're taught that when you come back into a state of grace, oneness, unity, and harmony, all that is anything to do with sin is taken away and cleared up, erased. So karma is too. You can erase that as well as punishment due to original sin or any other kind of sin in orthodoxy. Of course you can. Why is that? How can I do that? Because I'm one with infinite intelligence. I'm one with the wholeness of life and living. And where that is, there can't be anything other than that itself. Where wholeness is, there can only be wholeness. That's all. Nothing in there that does not belong where there is wholeness. So we needn't be frightened by our wicked past. We needn't be frightened by our dour future. We needn't be frightened with anything we've ever thought or done. We can release the stress, the tension around all of that and decide right here in this moment now, I will darn well be the best of myself since I can, since that's available to me. I've tried the other way, it doesn't work well. Certainly doesn't make me feel good. And neither does it free me. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I feel bound. I feel bound by all of my erroneous thoughts and deeds until I'm not. And we can be free of that too. So, life is really very simple. What are you bringing to it? Because whatever it is, you're getting back from it. Because why? All thought is creative in the manner and fashion of returning to you what you're thinking. Thought is corresponded to by that infinite state of intelligence. I think, and there's something greater than I am corresponding to what I'm thinking. And, verbing it and reverbing it until you want to put your fingers in your ears. So there's nobody listening into this program today that is helpless or hopeless or a victim. Nobody. There's nobody anywhere that is helpless or hopeless. Each and every one of us has that pulse going on in there saying, come on, wake up, recognize me, recognize me, recognize me. Remember, wake up and remember. So whatever the situation you and I may be in, and God knows many of us are in all kinds of situations right now, and there can be a great feeling of inadequacy. You can feel, I'm never able to do as much as I want to do, never mind for myself, but for others as well, and never mind for others, but for myself as well. I just feel that way all the time. And yes, the humanity of us feels that way all the time, but never, ever the authentic self, the spiritual self of ourselves, because it never wearies, never tires, never slumbers nor sleeps. It's always awake, alert, and available. You can lean into it, I can lean into it, we can draw from it at any time. And it's there at our assistance to help any way we choose for it to help us. So our prayer is amazingly potent and powerful and strong. For what is prayer but a realization, a knowing, an acceptance, a ceasing of resistance on the negative side of resistance. Oh, resistance, as Reverend Mary pointed out, is very essential to the human being. I mean, when you're working out and when you're exercising and you get your rubber bands and everything else, the tighter the resistance and so on, the greater the exercise is going to be. And you're going to be assisted, and then you can do things that you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't do that. You can stand on one leg and you can brush your teeth because you've done your exercises and so on. So there's a point in dualistic society, which is what we're living in, where dualism works, where the negative works with the positive to produce an affirmative result. And that's in physics too. When you study physics, you'll see that. There's a certain amount of torque that is essential in your life and mine to keep us vibrant, to keep us in good shape, so to speak. So if you're sitting today thinking, oh my God, my life is going to hell in a handbasket and I'm never going to be able to overcome this or get out of that or whatever, it's not so. It's not so. Yes, you have a bigger challenge than others might, but that doesn't mean you're not equal to it, because you are. Not because you're you, the human being, but because you are more than that, because you are an individualized expression of an infinite intelligence that absolutely knows how, when it comes to everything and anything. How to release, let go of something, how to attract something into life, how to handle something, how to navigate something, what the answer is to something. But you have to be with yourself for that to happen. And this is the thing. The greatest resistance on this planet is the resistance to knowing yourself, to putting in the endeavor to know yourself. Some of us cannot be in a room, in a house, for 2 seconds without turning on some kind of noise to keep ourselves distracted. Most of us find it extremely difficult to sit in a silent, quiet room. And that's just to sit silently in the room, far less to sit in silence yourself. And yet, that is the key. That's what's going to bring it on home for you and for me. It's to form a deep personal relationship with your great self, your inner self, your only authentic self, and the permanent self of you that continues on and on and on and on and on. My goodness me. And yet we give all our energy to the human egoic experience we're having for a tad of time, when you think about it, compared to eternity. So who do you want to be traveling with through all your eternal life? You know, your ego or your authentic self? Who would you like to accompany you? You'll have a much better time, and so would I, if it was the essential self. Accompanying by ego is really very dicey, to say the least, all the time. Now, the ego has its place, and it's a beautiful experience when it's in check, and when it's in harmony, and when it's in balance. But when that is ruling the roost, it's like the child is in charge of the castle. And that's never good. That's never good. So today's message is, endeavor to follow that one simple principle, endeavor to do no harm, and endeavor to do good wherever, however you can. And resist not. Resist not. Now, here's a conundrum. Resist not evil, it says in Scripture. What the hey does that mean? Resist not evil. It means don't be bowled over by anything that challenges you. Do not fight it. Do not endeavor to resist it. Just relax, breathe deeply, and say, resistance, I know you well, but you're not having your way with me. On your way now. You can sit and ease up for a moment, but off you go then. So think about how you are in relationship to resistance of any kind, and see if there's any room in there where you might be able to improve that for yourself, so that you have fewer headaches, fewer tummy aches, and God knows what else. Because I promise you, your psychology affects your biology. If you get the psychology right, your biology is wonderful. So I leave you with that today. And just know that you have the power to be that individual who is an awesome individual, that can be a raising agent wherever you are, wherever you go, with whomever you are, on your own or otherwise. But remember, it's not going to happen until you first work on yourself and get it all together right here and right now. Can't tell you, I'm looking forward so much to next week when we will not be here with so few. And so many more of you will be here, and it'll be a wonderful thing. So in the meantime, just keep knowing, I want to be the best that I am capable of being. I truly do. I'm willing to open myself up to that. I will be the best that I am capable of being. I'm already that already, but I want to know it. I want to experience it. I want to feel it. I want to embrace it. And see if you will not absolutely amaze yourself, because you will. And for now, Reverend Catherine's standing in the wings. She's coming, and she's going to share something wonderful with us. So here she comes.
This is the time in our service where we share our mission statement, which is to honor your presence, to nurture your spirit, and to enrich the life of all we serve. And we invite messages from our members and friends that help us know how we're doing with that mission, and this is one. I'm excited about the reopening of the center coming up soon. However, I am wondering about how safe everything is. I see so many people without masks in closed-in places, and I also see the number of virus infections going up. I have been vaccinated, but as an older person, I feel I need to be cautious. I do know that the church has been so responsive to the concerns over the last year. So I'm hoping we continue to be, because I don't think this thing is over, and I do love my church.
And how timely it is for a sharing like that to come in. I've been listening to all kinds of things recently. I know we have the maskers, we have the non-maskers, we have the vaxxers, we have the non-vaxxers, and then we have all the people in between. The only thing we need to know is what we are here in this center. Well, first and foremostly, I myself, along with the board members and the spiritual leadership of the center, wants to keep everybody as safe as we possibly can be. Now, I would love to say that all we have to do is pray and it'll be all right. Well, it won't, because we all pray differently, and because we all bring different levels of faith to the prayer that we pray, however we're praying. So, I will say this without any apology. We here in our center will err on the side of caution. Yes, we're at freedom to be who we are, but for those of us who have studied philosophy, we learned in Philosophy 101, sometimes two principles will clash. So consequently, at times, I must choose to be a little less free so that you all can be a little more free, and vice versa. So there's going to be a difference of opinion, and that's fine. I'm all for differences in opinion, but at the same time, the common knowledge and what it is that leadership has come down on the side of is to be honored for the sake of our individuals. No, dear hearts, I am not afraid, and we're not making decisions based on fear. We're making decisions based on other people's fears. And some of our people, our elders, and not just our elders, but all of our people who have compromised immune systems, are a little concerned, to say the very least. So I am willing, as is my staff and our board members and our volunteers, to wear a mask while we're indoors and honor people where they are. And I know for the people of Redondo Beach that they're obviously going to be willing to do the same. So in the premises, we will wear masks. We will honor people who are not vaccinated. We will do our best to take care of all of our people. And we really don't see this as anything to resist or be in tension over. It's a mask. I know it's uncomfortable for some of us and so forth, but we can do this. Just imagine wearing a mask can bring a sense to people who are afraid of them being okay and their situation being honored. So yes, indoors for now we will be wearing masks and we will be erring on the side of caution. And it's not because we're afraid, because we're not. We wouldn't be in these situations if we were afraid. So we are just loving up on you all and knowing for each and every one a wonderful, warm coming home to our spiritual family again. And we are so, so looking forward to celebrating that. And I'm trusting that you are too. And all are welcome. And as Reverend Catherine said, we are so deeply grateful, indeed, extremely grateful to everyone who has been staunch in their loyalty in supporting this center, this community, to be all that it can be under these circumstances, and to be the harbinger of so much good throughout these difficult times because of their financial and other ways of supporting the center. We couldn't be ourselves without you. We just couldn't. And you all, with the rest of us here, are ensuring the legacy of our center and the future generations to come. Most of us who are working here to keep the campfires burning, really all of us feel we've done as much as we can do, but it's never enough. And in that, there are some people that we didn't get to because they're the ones that seem to be doing okay. We've spent most of our energy on people who are really being challenged and having a tough time of it. But it'll be delightful to see your sweet faces again and to hear your sweet voices again and to know that all is well with you. But you're always in our prayerful thoughts. We don't miss out on that for one moment. So thank you from myself and from all those who serve and from the One. So now we're going to have our wonderful offertory ceremony, and that is to celebrate our fullness and our abundance and our plenty. And it doesn't matter whether we have one crumb for the loaf or the whole loaf. We're always grateful. And when we are, the crumb becomes more and the loaf becomes more. And because of that, there's more to share. Because that's what it's all about. Accruing abundance is for sharing. That's all it's for. We're not going to be taking with us into the next experience a U-Haul that follows us with all our stuff. We're just going to go as we came in, with no thing, but with the fullness of grace and spirit. Isn't it wonderful? Yes. Take our gift between our hands now, and we're going to say, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my gift, and I release it with love. And so it is. And now we're going to have our prayer. And this prayer, Lord knows there's all kinds of things going on in the world and all kinds of tragedies and all kinds of healing is needed. And without mentioning any one thing, because each and every one thing is personal to where it is and the people that it's affecting, we're just going to know that somehow everyone who's suffering now, whether it's a mental or a physical or an emotional or a financial or whatever it is thing, we're just going to know that those minds and hearts are open now to receiving. They're able to get beyond the worry, the concern, able to get beyond the sorrow and the sadness to receive the fullness of the life within themselves. And so we're going to pray for each and every one and know for each and every one that opening, that open receptivity in them to the good that they desire. That's what we're knowing. And for each and every one of you too, my dears. So this is what we're knowing. I know divine love enfolds me, divine light leads me, divine life lives in me, divine wisdom inspires me, divine compassion expresses through me, and divine power protects me always. All that I am is Spirit's life in expression. It is good and very good. With deep joy and generosity filling me, I go forward now in sacred service, supporting a compassionate world that works in a compassionate and wondrous way for all. I move through my days with grace and ease and peace and love and health and wellness and fullness and plenty and in loving relationship with all. What I now know for myself with blessing and in thanksgiving, I know for all life. There's only God. There's only God. There is only God. And that God must show up by means of you and by means of me. How else will we know the God of life and light and love? How do I know I'm forgiving if you don't forgive me? How do I know I'm loved if you don't love me? How do I know I am protected if you don't protect me? That's how the godliness on planet Earth works. It shines through each and every one of us because we are its conduits. And so if you're waiting for the clouds to open and whatever you conceive God to be to appear, it could happen in your mind, but it's not going to happen in reality because it comes from inside out. That's where the clouds open up and the feelings pour forth and the truth runs like rivers through you out into the world. See how amazing you are? See how awesome you are? And I keep reminding you, the only one to impress is yourself. The only one to be awed by is the awesomeness within you. So have a great, good remainder of the day and a fabulous, blessed, prosperous in every way week. And here it comes, the day we've waited for. We so look forward to seeing you in the sanctuary next Sunday. It's a good thing. And so it is. So I will leave you the way the children leave us. And so it is.